Hi Bluebirds, we're up to chapter 4 of How Not to Go to School. Chapter 4, How to teach yourself better than a teacher could teach yourself. Tuesday the 31st of March 2020. Today I've been thinking about the number 2. That sounds kind of babyish, doesn't it? Let me put it another way. Today I've been investigating the properties of the number commonly referred to as 2. It all started when I was feeding my animals. Dogs have 2 eyes and 2 ears. Goats have 2 horns. Even Bo has 2 arms and 2 legs and 2 kind of snotty nostrils. And that got me thinking about all the 2s that animals have. Birds have 2 wings and 2 feet. Dolphins have 2 flippers. Crabs have 2 claws. And Stichosaurus, the stick insect, has 2 antennae. But some things don't come in 2s. Dogs have 4 legs, beetles have 6 legs, octopus have 8 tentacles, and centipedes have 100 legs. Millipedes have 1,000 legs. Some ladybirds have 6 spots, and some have 8 spots. Bo has 10 fingers and 10 toes. Then I started looking at the plants in my garden. The daffodils had 5 petals. One of the daisies I looked at had 35 petals and another one had 42. The dandelions all had different numbers of leaves. I tried counting the branches on the trees, but I got confused about what counts as a branch and what is just another part of a branch. At lunch I counted 13 seeds in my apple, and then I counted the seed in Bo's apple to make sure he only had 10 seeds. Have you noticed a pattern? Animals have even numbers of body parts, but plants can have odd or even. The only exception is the number 1. Monkeys only have 1 tail, and you've only got 1 head, I hope. I decided to do some research on the enchanted tablet. It turns out that almost all animals are bilaterally symmetrical. That means you could cut them in half down the middle, and they'd have the same number of legs, fingers, tentacles, snotty nostrils on either side. But plants are mostly radically symmetrical, which means you can spin them around and around and they still look pretty much the same. Imagine spinning a daisy flower around and around. So plants could have odd or even numbers of petals, leaves, branches or seeds. I was very pleased with my discovery, so I went to go and tell Bo, but he wasn't very interested in the number of parts that animals and plants have. When he grows up, he wants to be a space paleontologist. He wants to go to the moon and dig up dinosaur bones. I've tried explaining that there aren't any dinosaur bones on the moon, but Mum says it's okay because it keeps him busy learning about lots of things and dinosaurs and space. Yesterday he told me the biggest planet in our solar system is Jupiter, which I thought was quite a mean thing to say, until I realised what he meant was the biggest planet in our solar system is Jupiter. Today he was focusing really hard on learning how to spell pterodactyl, which is pretty ambitious because he struggles to spell bow sometimes. Mum says that if you don't go to school, you need to have motivation. At school, you have teachers prowling around, making sure you do your work and hitting you with canes or locking you in the cupboard if you don't follow the rules. Do they still do that? I read Matilda and Danny, the champion of the world, and that sort of happened all in their time at school. My motivation is curiosity and finding things out. Bo's is dreaming of being a space paleontologist. Mum's motivation is that she loves how to master how to do things. 1 week last winter, she spent every night practising juggling with oranges, and now she can juggle any fruit she likes, even pineapples. Another time, she decided she wanted to learn calligraphy, the really fancy curly writing. So she spent ages practising, and now her writing is so curly that no one can read it. Mum was more impressed than Bo by my discovery about symmetry in animals and plants, especially because we'd only learnt about different types of symmetry a couple of weeks ago. Then she got out the B-bomb. That stands for the Big Book of Maths. It's an absolutely enormous maths book, and we call it the B-bomb because that's the sound it makes when you drop it on the kitchen table. I sort of wish I could spend all my time investigating things, but it's kind of useful learning stuff from the B-bomb. Like last week we learnt all about different types of symmetry, and that was helpful in my animal and plants parts discovery today. After maths, I did some writing this book, and my mum told me to write down some more questions about motivation and learning things at home. So here they are. What is your motivation? Are there other types of motivation? Should you only have one motivation, or can you have different ones? What else do you need to help you learn at home? And that's the end of chapter 4.